This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, guys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the SmackDown Review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I am one of the hosts of the show, Michael Ritter. You can find me on Twitter at Michael5Ritter or on Instagram at MichaelRitter5. Also the host of the Football Function Podcast, available on all of your podcasting platforms, including Patreon if you prefer an ad-free experience. Joining me on today's episode, John Carrasco. You can find him on Twitter at Big Speaker. That's BIGG_Speaker. John, how you doing, bud?
I am doing pretty good, man. And it's a good morning and everything like that. And yesterday was a good day, you know.
Yep.
SmackDown. Raiders had a good win. So, yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, that's definitely, a cause for a good day whenever your team wins. The Falcons actually play here at 2 o'clock in a few hours. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, college football is back. So there's a lot of good things to look forward to as far as like sports on TV and all that stuff. But speaking of sports being on TV, that kind of got in the way of this week's SmackDown. For me anyways. See, I have DirecTV. John does not. I don't know what John has, but
Suddenlink.
Yeah, so he doesn't, they don't even know what the hell Suddenlink is. That's just like a little,
I don't even
it's
know
your,
what it is
all right,
anymore.
wherever you
They
are
changed it.
locally, that local cable station that you have, the one here where we live is called Suddenlink, and it sucks. Like, seriously, it's bad. Like, people,
Thanks.
nothing against the people that have it. Their service sucks, is what I'm saying. Their communication and all that stuff. I know that kind of came out wrong, but hey, I'll be honest, DirecTV sucks too. Extremely overpriced. Once NFL Sunday Ticket goes to Apple TV next year, I will be leaving DirecTV, and I'll be officially just, subscribing to Apple TV and doing what I got to do to get SmackDown, whether I got to go local for cable, because that is, it's a lot better of a deal than what DirecTV has. But anyways, for whatever reason, the Fox on DirecTV here, where I live in Amarillo, Texas, I'm not sure if it was the same way for anybody else. The Cowboys versus Seahawks game, the preseason game, was what was on Fox at 7 o'clock, exact time slot of SmackDown. I typically start SmackDown a little bit late. I record it, and I have fast forward time through commercials and, things like that, so I can get through it quicker than, an actual 2 hour, sit time, because you get to fast forward through the commercials. Just, mathematically, you get through it faster. But anyways, they didn't have it on like FS1, which is what they typically do if they move it. So I don't know why on my TV it was messed up, but on yours it wasn't. Definitely kind of weird. We pulled it up on the Fire Stick, but at that point, half of it was already over, and I'd already contacted Matt and told him that I was just going to, watch it this morning, and we'd get the show into him as early as we could. So, John is familiar with it. He watched SmackDown Live last night, and then he kind of watched it with me this morning as I was catching up on everything that happened. So he is fully up to speed on everything that happened. So we are going to do the best we can to give you guys a nice, thorough review here of SmackDown. That aired on August 26, 2022 from the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Shout out Detroit, Kyle. But, this SmackDown, from what I read, from what I saw, let's see, CBS Sports gave it a B rating, just of the SmackDown in general. Started with a pretty long match, ended with a pretty good match into the main event. Had some tag team action to kind of fill it throughout the show. Some good backstage interaction, some good backstage segments that kind of set the stage for what's going to happen next week on SmackDown, which is kind of what we'll get into. Is there's a lot of stuff that was announced for next week. So this episode of SmackDown almost seemed like a little bit of a layup or a toss-up for next week's SmackDown as a go-home show to be a slam dunk. Do you agree with that, John?
I do. I feel like the build-up is starting to get a little bit more intense and everything like that. So them including like the New Day coming back and everything like that, that's going to be, I think, a overall good thing. So, yeah, I think I agree with that, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about the New Day, actually. And we'll get to that here in just a little bit. But Let's go ahead and see here. Because I don't have my typical chronological order notes that I have every week whenever I watch SmackDown live, we're going to go through it a little bit different. Just kind of go segment by segment. And, what I have here might be in chronological order, but, it's not what I have written down, so I'm not going to, I guess, say that's exactly what it is and confuse everybody, or if something might be a little bit out of place here. But we could start with Ricochet versus Happy Corbin. The match at the very beginning was a little bit longer than what I thought. Whenever I read the results and I just saw that Ricochet defeated Happy Corbin, I thought that it was, a pretty quick match. But actually watching it this morning ended up being a lot longer than I thought. I told you, Shooting Star Press, one of my favorite moves of all time. So for Ricochet to get a win with that, he's a high flyer. So nobody currently employed by WWE can probably do it better than him. So I like to see him break it out, especially to get a win.
Yeah, man. On this one, man, I can say that I didn't feel like Ricochet's energy was all there, I felt like
even his gear was different.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. He had his new shoes on, some purple dunks, I guess it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just didn't think I didn't feel as if that was the Ricochet that you'd see on a good night. I felt like it was kind of sloppy, I guess you could say. But I felt like Corbin was the best performer in this match, even though he got the L. It seemed like he kind of added some new things to his belt. I don't know if it was new moves or some of the stuff that he did before, but he did some stuff that I didn't see before. So I was kind of okay. Yeah, kind of stepping up his game a little bit. I don't know. He had this crazy freaking off the shoulders through Ricochet his face into the turnbuckle type stuff, and really? I was like, okay. I'm glad he didn't do that to Pat McAfee or anything like that, but. Yeah, I was impressed by that.
Yeah, Ricochet, somebody who, at the very least, whenever you watch him, even if it's his opponent, because he's so good at selling and doing things like that, impressive is a word that comes to mind a lot whenever you're talking about Ricochet. So he does get the win here. We'll see what happens going forward with him. But Happy Corbin got the stuff drawn on him after this match was over. Obviously, Pat McAfee had a little bit of fun with that. I don't know exactly what it is, if he's actually the one that's controlling that, when they put the circle around his head and they do the arrows and all that. I don't know if he's just commentating and somebody in the back is actually doing that. I don't know if they have the software for Pat to have that right there at ringside. I don't know. They might. I have no idea.
I'd assume so.
I'm sure here in a couple of weeks they'll show him doing it, John Madden style. Shout out to John Madden, obviously. Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders head coach. So, anyways, we can continue on here. Street Profits and Hit Row had a pleasant encounter backstage. What'd you think about this? It was pretty funny, is what it looked like. Obviously, just watching the quick little video, and it did set up for something else a little bit later in the show. But what'd you think about the encounter in general?
Well, for this to start making this fruition, I guess you could say. I guess I can start leaning towards okay, I'm okay with this type stuff, but I don't know, man. I just Hit Row, they're still hard for me to get behind. So, I just got to keep following this to see exactly how it's going to play out to even make my decision, like I even said before. But it's getting a little bit more spicy along the road and stuff like that. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit later of the things that were announced for next week, but Hit Row will be in the ring. That's just kind of plug that right away, that we're going to see Hit Row wrestle next week, and it is going to be at least something that I'm looking forward to. I'm not really sure about you just because of who they're going up against, but like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Right now, the women's tag team tournament for the I guess vacant is what you can call them, women's tag team championships. The finals, is the finals going to be at Clash of the Castle? It is, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that what Michael Cole said? Okay, cool. But now we know who is going to be in the finals to determine the new SmackDown, or not SmackDown, I always say that for some reason, the new women's tag team champions in general. I don't know why I always want to, credit SmackDown to having those women's tag team championship belt. But like I said, technically they are currently on SmackDown wrestlers, Sasha and Naomi, although, they not really on SmackDown, but it is what it is. Anyways, so this second chance fatal four-way match to, I guess, replace one of the teams that got eliminated, because didn't the other NXT team get injured or something like that? So the first NXT team got injured.
Was Nikita Lyons.
Yeah, and Zoe Stark, they got injured. And then Gigi Dolan, Toxic Attraction, that tag team. I don't know, Jade isn't the other one? I don't want to...
I think it was JCJ.
JCJ. We had this exact conversation last week, and so that's on me for not getting it, but they got injured as well. So just real quick, I mean,
It was crazy that it was announced like an hour before showtime too.
NXT wrestlers injury prone or what? I hope not, because that's all that's in this finals now.
Main roster beatings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is just coming up. It's like college going to the NFL, you know, just not quite used to that physicality. No, I'm just kidding, obviously.
I thought they were doing pretty good, though.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking, obviously. NXT is full of a bunch of, you know, capable main roster wrestlers for sure. But anyways, this match included Sonya Deville and Natalya versus Dana Brooke, Tamina, Shotzi and Xia Li, and Nikki ASH and Doudrop. But let's see, Deville rolled up Nikki into the ring after Brooke suplexed her into all of the other participants outside of the ring. So Sonya Deville and Natalya end up getting the win here, and their night isn't over. So they advance to go up against Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah later on. So we'll kind of get to that match whenever it comes, but whoever won this match was going to have to do double duty, so it couldn't be super, super long of a match. You know, you couldn't put on a 15-minute match and expect to, you know, have a semifinals match a little bit later in the exact same show. So we do get the veteran team here of Deville and Natalya advancing to take on Raquel a little bit later and her tag team partner, Aaliyah. But up next is something that was actually one of my favorite parts of the entire show. Gunther and Sheamus have their face-off. They both cut, you know, pretty good promo. Sheamus kind of talks to Gunther about how he sees himself in Gunther. Just, you know, that dominant physical force, somebody who loves to go to war inside the ring. And he mentioned a couple similarities between the two that he sees, at least, and I guess he can kind of draw to, I guess, give him a reason to respect Gunther right away, you know, that he sees some of himself in him. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he has something that Sheamus wants. Sheamus has been talking about it on social media. I know for sure he's posted at least one picture, that one that I showed you of his corner, where he has every single belt there except for the Intercontinental Championship. Even has the Money in the Bank briefcase. He has won the Royal Rumble as well. Sheamus is very decorated as a WWE wrestler. And that Intercontinental Championship seems to be the only title that has eluded him throughout his career. But I will say he's running into the wrong champion, though. You know how I feel about Gunther. Sheamus is very, very capable of giving Gunther all he can handle. But I don't think it's going to be enough, honestly. Gunther, in my personal opinion, is just getting started. Obviously, the two, I guess, lackeys kind of get into a little bit of a brawl. Butch and Ludwig, they kind of go at it while Sheamus and Gunther are just staring at each other. They're not even moving. They're not even breaking. It's as if those two aren't even going at it. But a brawl does take place right there in the ring, kind of while they're having this stare-off, and it just kind of, I guess, symbolically tells you, I guess, how laser-focused these guys are. You know, how they both are, you know, determined, one of them to retain that championship, one of them to gain it and take it from the other one. It makes the title feel important, and this is a championship that's needed some credibility for a while now. So, I mean, what do you think about this segment? I mean, obviously, you're the one who told me, hey, you really got to watch this, so you know it was pretty damn good. But what do you think it did for this feud going forward? I mean, pretty good segment, right?
Yeah, this definitely, like, I guess you could say my highlight of the show, because the stare down, I mean, of course, like the promos and everything from both were, I'd say, pretty spectacular. But just like that stare down, dude, it's like I don't even know how to say it. It's like one of those like old time things, or maybe just like a different type country type thing where, like, you know, staring, you know, they have like that real type, you know, stare down type stuff, whoever blinks first type. I don't know. That's why I kind of think like Sheamus got the better hand of that, just because I wouldn't say because, you know, the Ludwig and Butch got in the way, but still, you know, it's kind of like Gunther. He was the one that took that little like step back. Okay, I'm gonna take my focus away from it type stuff. I was like, man, I don't know. It's just Sheamus kind of looking pretty strong right here just because of that right there. I mean, it was crazy for like everything just to be going around, you know, like 2-on-1 type thing. I don't know. But yeah, it was crazy. It
felt like Sheamus was the good guy here. It felt like he was the babyface, especially whenever he got the crowd involved. He's like, I don't know what you're saying, and no one else here knows what you're saying. Anytime somebody gets the crowd involved, it's like they're pandering to him. You know, it's like they want to get him behind him. So I'm like, when I saw that, I was like, did Sheamus, you know, try to get the crowd behind him there? But obviously some good stuff here. I do think I agree with you. It's one of the better segments of the show. It's one of those that just reading about it doesn't do it justice at all. You really have to kind of get the energy for the segment that it was. I mean, Sheamus literally listed all the guys that he's beaten in his career, and it is pretty damn impressive. Not all the guys he's beaten, but just some of the big names. You know, John Cena, Triple H, the current top dog Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton. I mean, he has beaten some of the best that WWE has had to offer over the years. But continuing on here, let's go ahead and talk about some backstage stuff. Roman Reigns in his locker room, like usual, he's approached by Sami Zayn, who knocks on the door. The Usos come out. They're kind of, talking about last week. They compliment him about the reception that he received in Montreal, which we all talked about was damn good. He got one of the loudest pops I've heard in a long time. And they're kind of just saying, hey, you did pretty good. You lost. Jey Uso actually, makes sure to point out that he lost. But Sammy makes it clear, like, hey, if I wouldn't have got injured, if it would have been, just a straight match, me being healthy, I without a doubt would have won. And, he adds that, hey, and, I actually did, defend Roman Reigns later on in the show. I took a Claymore from Drew McIntyre and, protected Roman Reigns, pushed him out of the way. And he felt like that was a little bit of a bonding moment. Like last week in general was like some bonding time, I guess, for Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn, and I have to agree. I really do, especially after what happens next whenever, as Jey Uso was, I guess, playing the role of like a doorkeeper, kind of just, standing there like you're not getting in here unless I say you can. Roman Reigns says, Jey, what are you doing? And he opens the door, sees Sami Zayn. He gives Sami Zayn the okay to come in the locker room where they kind of have that conversation. And, they go on about last week, what happened. And where Roman Reigns says, hey, last week I needed you. I was alone and I needed somebody, to kind of have my back and step up, something that basically is what family would do, right? And that's when, Sami Zayn, he looks up and says, yeah, family should do that. And he looks at Jey. And that was one of the best parts of the entire segment. And
that was good.
It's one of the things, like, I don't know if that was like a stage direction, just, using acting terms. Whenever you get on the stage and, that's what director says, like, hey, this is what you want to do. You want to, like, this is your line. Like, Sami Zayn's line was to say, yeah, that's something family should do. But was it something that he decided? Like, was it scripted that he looks up at him? Or was that something that he added? Because I do feel like Sami Zayn is somebody who on the spot can make a line, just a moment, and turn it into something that means more just because of his whole, like, demeanor and I guess his body language, I guess, is, a way that you could say it. But Sami Zayn is somebody who just every week, if you watch him, if you're just like old school kind of molded, where you like your wrestlers to be just super buff, big dudes that like are like similar to Dave Bautista, Triple H, even John Cena to an extent, like the Ruthless Aggression era, even the Attitude Era to an extent. You had to look a certain way to be the top guy, and Sami Zayn doesn't meet those categories. He doesn't look like your world heavyweight champion. But he's somebody that if you just watch every single week, his work on the mic, his work as his character, just, completely becoming that. And no matter what it is, we've seen him, remember whenever he was walking around talking about a conspiracy theory, going everywhere talking about WWE has a conspiracy against him. He had his own documentary team, like come in there, with a court or the camera, with a video camera. And he's like, are you getting this? Kind of just, he had that whole gimmick going on. Then he was the elder statesman here on SmackDown for a little bit. And then, now he's just completely indulged into this Bloodline role. I love the small details of him wearing the old Bloodline shirt while they're wearing the new ones. There's no reason why he wouldn't have a new one. It's clear that that's intentional. I love that little detail that they're adding to this. It's the small things with this whole thing with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, this whole dynamic. It is something that keeps me coming back every week with SmackDown. Obviously, we cover the show. We have to watch SmackDown every week. But even if I wasn't, this is the segment that, like, really makes me enjoy watching SmackDown. Obviously, the Gunther and Sheamus is getting pretty interesting too, but this is something that's just built in. What are we going to get from Sammy this week?
Yeah, I do agree on the little things, like the little handshake that he's developed with Jimmy Uso.
They did that as he left.
That's kind of cool. I was like, and then freaking he tries to do it with Jey, and he just like points towards the door. Yeah. And I was like, okay, he's like breaking his barriers with Roman Reigns, Jimmy. Now he just got to, get past that last step with Jey, man. And you can kind of see that it's working, especially whenever you were saying how he was sitting there and then he started doing that little dance.
Yeah, that was funny.
The camera caught Jey Uso over there trying to
he was trying not to laugh.
I was like, oh yeah, he got him on hook, bro. So I was like, All right, yeah, this is turning into something good, but I don't know, man. One thing about Jey Uso is that little cutoff shirt, giving me like Ezekiel Elliott kind of vibes. I was like, what are you doing with that stuff, man?
You got Ezekiel Elliott vibes. I got cheerleader from the longest yard vibes.
Oh,
so cutoff shirt. Yeah,
that's horrible right there. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
You definitely.
That's what I saw out of that, man, and I was just like, that was probably my only negative about that segment right there. I was just like, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, I agree. But we can go ahead and move on, put a pin in that little segment there, and get back to some in-ring stuff, which is the women's tag team title tournament semifinals between Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah against Sonya Deville and Natalya. Remember, Natalya and Sonya earned their right to be in this match earlier in the night. Now, here during this match, we got Bayley and Dakota Kai, Io Sky, guest on commentary. So they're kind of just spectating this match, watching it, seeing who they're going to be going up against at Clash at the Castle a week from today, actually, while me and you are recording this. So going to be interesting, obviously. The NXT team, the former NXT team, Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez win this match. So they beat Sonya Deville and Natalya in the finals. That Clash at the Castle was going to be Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah versus Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And like I mentioned while we were watching it this morning, is that these are all former NXT women wrestlers. Like, this whole tournament is set up for, I guess, it seems like at one point the NXT team, Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons, they were a favorite in my opinion, not to win it, but to go, the distance. And I thought that it was a way for Triple H to kind of, showcase these women's tag team titles, but also put over an NXT team. And they don't have to get them to win, but they could still, have a pretty good run here in the tournament. And then whenever they got injured, Toxic Attraction was plugged in. And I thought, okay, just, next man up. That mentality in football, I guess just plug and play, reload, so to speak. And I thought that it was going to be the same thing. They were going to work their way to the other side of the bracket. And they end up getting hurt as well. So just naturally, Triple H has no other option. Because, all right, you want to take away all my cards, then I guess you're going to force this card out of my hand, which is all of these women that I know are capable of putting on damn good matches, all these former NXT wrestlers. I mean, Raquel Rodriguez is my favorite of the bunch. I've already told you, I don't want to be, negative on Dakota Kai at all, so please don't take me wrong. I'm not saying that, size is everything, but keep in mind, I have a little sister that's, about the same size as Dakota Kai, and she's, I've not, wrestled her my whole life, but I know how, easy it is to pick her up and freaking move her around, so I'm just as a professional wrestler, knowing that Raquel Rodriguez, who is our size or bigger than us almost, she's a very strong woman. Do you really feel like Dakota Kai is, I guess, capable of putting up a good match against Raquel Rodriguez? That's the thing about me is I'm not high on Dakota Kai. That's it. I love Io Sky. She reminds me of Sasha Banks, somebody who can just go turnbuckle to turnbuckle, jumps off the turnbuckles. Somebody who's a high flyer, a technical wrestler as well. She's just a hell of a, I guess, sports entertainer, if you want to say that. I mean, I'm a pro wrestler type of guy, but I mean, she checks all the boxes. She is just 100% built for the WWE. I love Io Sky now. Sorry. That just dates it back how long I've been a fan of her, right? Sorry. Kind of going to slip out a little bit. But Dakota Kai, seeing her get bullied so much in NXT, whether it was by Rhea Ripley or whoever it was, I was just never really a fan of her. But I'm not going to, just completely rule it out. That's the thing, is I'm not saying, hey, she's not going to win me over. Keep in mind, at one point, I was not high on Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn either. If I would have had a podcast way back then, I'd be saying every week, these guys aren't, I guess, very believable in my personal opinion. I don't feel like they can compete amongst guys like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and John Cena at the time, 2016 or whatever, whenever they first got up to the roster. I wasn't high on them because I don't watch NXT like that, So it's kind of the same thing with these ones, whereas I know that they're talented, I know that they're capable, but it's hard for them to kind of, I guess, get over with me, especially, like I said, with Dakota Kai. I just see my little sister whenever I watch her wrestle. I'm like, gosh, how is, Raquel Rodriguez not going to, pick her up and powerbomb her through the mat? It's just kind of, I guess, whenever it comes to, suspending my belief, and watching wrestling, I can do that to an extent. Alexa Bliss, I had a problem with her for a little bit. Not like with her, but I had a problem doing it with her for a little bit there. Whereas, like I'd watch her wrestle and I was like, man, she's like 5'1" and she's going up against somebody like Charlotte, who just absolutely will pick her up, spin her around, throw her out of the ring. It's kind of just one of those things I look at. And it's the same thing with men wrestlers. Like, do you really think that somebody like Nunzio back in the day is going to compete with somebody like Brock Lesnar? Like there's a reason why there's weight classes, and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's just one of the things that I feel like of this group with Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky, I do feel like Dakota Kai is the only one, in my personal opinion, that's stopping this group from being extremely credible. Like, just because when I look at it, I'm like, I can't shake off those memories of her getting bullied in NXT and knowing just, I guess, that she probably is, like, I don't know her exact size, like height-wise, like she's just, I don't know, she just doesn't scream pro wrestler in my personal opinion. And that's just, it is what it is. It's kind of just my objective opinion on it. What are your thoughts on, I guess, that tag team? I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there. You don't have to really comment on any of that, but I mean, just your thoughts on the finals. Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah versus this team, Dakota Kai and Io Sky.
Well, I mean, it's definitely good to see, like, what this match right here, it just felt like Raquel, she was like the main person in that match, I guess you could say. Instead of Aaliyah, she had got hit, took a bump, and she was on the side of the ring for, I don't even know, like a majority of the match. So I just felt like that's what they're still trying to do, is just push Raquel to like a certain limit, to more of like the singles person, I guess you could say. But the Io Sky and Dakota Kai, man, I haven't really seen them, so I can't really give my input on it too early. I can say from what I've seen on Raw, that I believe it was just one match that they had, but I don't know, man. Right now, Raquel Rodriguez is the dominant person in this match, and that's
she
who
stands
I see.
out.
Yeah, that's who I see taking over. Even with Aaliyah on her side. See,
I think just way early prediction, I guess. I think that Dakota Kai and Io Sky are going to win somehow, some way. I don't know if it's going to be like an illegal, Bayley gets involved, hook or crook, some type of way. Like, it's not like I'm low on their potential, because I know that, Triple H is high on this team,
right.
So I know that they have a shot to win this thing. I agree with you. Raquel Rodriguez, she is the one out of all these women that could be a WWE Women's Champion today. Mm-hmm. Like, tomorrow she can, go take the title from Liv Morgan without a doubt.
Right.
But it's just kind of like, I look at it like this, like for the people who criticize Liv Morgan for her credibility, like, you can't criticize Liv Morgan and then praise Dakota Kai. It's kind of like where I get at. Like, they're in the same tier right there, and Liv Morgan runs circles around Dakota Kai, in my opinion. That's just where I stand, and it is what it is, but that's really the only thing for me, is just that group itself. I feel like they have a little bit of a ways to go before I'm like saying, all right, this group is legit, like straight up. Team BAD, Beautiful and Dangerous is what they were called, with Sasha Banks, Naomi, and Tamina. That was a group that I knew, like, all right, this is a credible group here. Like, they really can, and I'm not a Tamina fan or anything like that, that, but I'm just saying, like, she can kick some ass. Naomi can do her thing, and we all know what Sasha Banks is. So I guess just by comparison, even what's it called? They were called Submission Sorority at first, but they had to change their name, because if you Google that, it's definitely something you don't want to see. But I forgot it was like PLB or something like that. I don't know. Paige, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch.
That's a good little three right there.
Yeah. Them three were like they all had their own submission move, and they were all like, pretty badass. But it was one of those things that didn't last very long, but that was a team. When you look at it, hey, this team's pretty damn good, So I don't know. It's just, I kind of wanted to give my 2 cents. I haven't really gotten a chance to comment on this team like that. I'm just seeing them here in the finals. I already know they're probably going to win, but I just kind of wanted to get out early and just say, yeah, not really high on Dakota Kai. Io Sky,
Gotcha.
Very high on her. She's number 2, right behind, what's her name? Raquel Rodriguez. But Aaliyah, see, her and Dakota Kai are kind of right there neck and neck for me. Like, although one of them is being pushed, like, dang, she's in a group that's, on their way to the top. They're out there, coming out at SummerSlam and all that stuff, while Aaliyah is basically a jobber, essentially, and, you know, loses every now and then, or most of the time, wins every now and then. But I don't know. I feel like they're kind of the same. They're very similar, although one of them is being pushed a lot harder than the other. But we can go ahead and move on. We spent a lot of time talking about that one. We can move on to your favorite part of the show, which is Maximum Male Models photo shoot, except this time it's interrupted by Hit Row. What'd you think about this, obviously, with the whole bus being spray painted? Hit Row sucks. Turns out it was not Hit Row's bus. It was the Street Profits bus. So Maximum Male Models looks like some idiots, and they, you know, end up running away. But we get a match next week, Hit Row and Maximum Male Models. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out as far as like mixed tag, or is it just going to be like 2-on-2? What's it going to be? I don't know. But as far as this segment in general, which was pretty much supposed to be like a little bit of like a comedy segment, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, for this to ultimately being sized down, that's like it's supposed to be. You know, they had the ring for a while. Now they moved back to a locker. Now they're in the parking garage, you know, taking these Maximum Male Model photo shoots, I guess you could say. So I think it's well deserving of where it's supposed to be right now, you know, somewhere well off where cameras aren't really focused on them and stuff like that, besides the ones that they're paying for. But other than that, man, I'm kind of okay with what's going on with this. I want to see what's the involvement with the Los Lotharios. You know, I'm kind of
they are a little bit of like a weird wrinkle that's in this whole thing.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious about what Maxine really has for their involvement, I guess you could say, because she's the one that ran to them, got them. You know, they bring back that primer or spray paint, whatever it was. So. Yeah, it's moving into a direction that got my interest just a little bit.
I can tell you right now what it's going to be next week.
Go for it.
It is going to be the two guys in Hit Row with B-Fab as their manager, I guess, on the outside of the ring, versus Monsois and Masse with Maxine on the outside. And don't get me wrong, I think that Max Dupree might be on commentary with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, where Maxine is in the corner, B-Fab's in the corner, and then we got the two guys kind of going at it in the ring in a tag match, and we're going to get a face-to-face outside the ring with B-Fab and Maxine. Max Dupree is going to be providing so many, you know, one-liners, some good comedy, you know, as a guest commentary. Remember with Pat McAfee, I can't wait to see those two guys together. And to just being a go-home show. So I feel like this is going to be one of the more entertaining segments next week. And who knows, it might draw your interest in one, if not both, of these groups.
I was going to say, I mean, now that you mentioned that, I guess I can see that happening. And then Los Lotharios going against Street Profits now.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess you kind of broke it down
there you
and
go.
spread it out for me. So I was like, okay. But, I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel like Max, he's like the oddball in all of this, you know, just because he's kind of like opposed to like some of the stuff that they got going and stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious. I'm like, what the whole, like, what it's supposed to turn into, you know? That's the interest that it got me at right now.
Yeah, I've always kind of been interested to see how it develops, how it translates into the ring. Now we're seeing it.
I was, man. I was ready for this whole fashion show stuff to be out the way, them modeling beachwear and stuff like that. Now there's some direction, you know. Now we're going into some matches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
See Monsois and Masse get beat up.
Yeah, should be coming soon. Also coming soon, likely their fall line, which you know is going to be very
not ready for it.
Very hyped up photo shoot. And, you know, we're gonna have to break that down at some point, so you know, get ready for that. But anyways, moving on here. New Day, they come out to the ring and they're cutting a promo. Xavier Woods is in a wheelchair. Kofi Kingston standing there. They're kind of talking about the Viking Raiders funeral that they had for him last week, where they were throwing in boxes of Bootios, New Day shirts, unicorn horns, just everything. In Xavier Woods' words, they were throwing away their legacy and burning it, you know. So Xavier Woods says maybe that's just what New Day is. Done. You know, maybe it's time to kind of turn the page. And it seems like they were hinting at a split, or like they were hinting at finally turning the page on the New Day. Who knows if they actually were or not, because they got interrupted by the Viking Raiders. They come out and New Day sends them running away with kendo sticks. And leads to a match we're going to get next week. But what do you think about that? Did you think that the New Day are going to split up? Like, do you think that the time may be coming? Because, I mean, they were in pretty much regular clothes. I know that they were, beat up, injured, but they didn't come out in their gear, throwing pancakes. They were hurt. They were, both physically and emotionally. You could tell that they were definitely dealing with something. And they said that they underestimated the Viking Raiders. They were making fun of them, taking shots at their intelligence and all that stuff. But, do you think that this is the end of the New Day era?
Man, I hate to say this, but it's freaking crazy how drawn in I am to the New Day. I know it might sound weird, but, gosh dang, for that to happen, man, I was, totally thinking, okay, this is about to happen, and I was kind of feeling for it, I don't know, just the way Kofi Kingston was kind of speaking, Xavier Woods, I was just, oh man, this is really about to happen. And it's kind of crazy because I was thinking, all New Day is just like a hype up to me, But for some reason, I'm still, I got that, I guess you could say, involvement with them emotionally, I guess you could say. Not to be weird or anything, but yeah, for them to start speaking in that tone, I was kind of feeling down about it and stuff like that. Viking Raiders music hit. Okay, coming out there. I thought they were really about to do another brutal beating on them, and I was like, okay. Or Xavier Woods, he gets up, pulls out those kendo sticks from the leg brace, and man, I can't even explain the little excitement that I had inside to see, him throw the extra one to Kofi Kingston. They start whacking away. So I don't think that they're going to break up, man. I think that was just kind of a little twist that they had, had us on our seats, I guess you could say. But I think they're going to ultimately have that good redemption next week and do what they got to do.
Yeah. We'll talk about everything that was announced, for next week here in just a little bit after we talk about the main event, which is Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. Physical as hell, brutal match. Goes for quite a while. If I'm not mistaken, this was, a lengthy match. And then Jimmy and Jey Uso, they come out to try to distract Drew, and they do for a little bit. Sami Zayn hits a blue thunder bomb, but it's not enough. Drew McIntyre does end up getting the win. However, Roman Reigns comes out. The whole bloodline is there now, all four of them if you include Sami Zayn. And despite Drew fighting back for a little bit, they really put a beating on him here. Chair shots, a haluva kick outside of the ring, hitting him with the stairs, and then Roman Reigns just sits on top of him and basically just tells him, hey, I'm at the top of this mountain. I'll always be at the top of this mountain, and you're not going to until I say it's all right, until I'm done. And then I give it to you, then you can have it. But pretty much saying, I know you're coming for the top, but hey, you're not going to get it. And we'll see if it comes to fruition. Roman Reigns obviously confident as hell. The bloodline was extremely cohesive tonight. They were a unit that was just working together like a well-oiled machine. Even despite Sami Zayn and Jey Uso having their differences, you really wouldn't have been able to tell that during this segment because, they were holding him up for a haluva kick. They were working together, and, it is what it is. Although the tension is still there. The hostility is still there between Jey and Sami. We're going to see that continue to unfold. But it really wasn't on display during this main event. And we saw, despite Sami Zayn losing to Drew, they did what they had to do, and that was put a beating on him. And I guess try to... butter him up a little bit. No, that's not the right word. Just get him ready to
break him down.
Yeah, break him down. Yeah, break him down for Roman Reigns because he's about to have his way with him at Cardiff at a Clash at the Castle.
Yeah, this one was definitely crazy, man. Just start to finish, I guess you could say. Whenever they, whenever they hit him with the chair or the stairs on his head, man, I was kind of thinking, okay, leave him alone, let him be in type stuff. Of course, they still drag him in. Roman, he starts doing this little pounding and stuff like that. I don't know, I just felt for Drew at this time, We've been watching him kind of taking this little mountain up the hill, and it's basically like it's about to just come to the peak, I guess you say. Not even I wouldn't even say a downfall. I think it's just he's kind of just going to be stuck there, Because he's trying to build for something. That's what he told us whenever he first came back to SmackDown, that he's trying to get that belt back and stuff. I was like, but yeah, just right now, man, just for this match to actually be here next week and stuff like that, I don't know. Drew, he's definitely, he's about to go through it again, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting started for him, without a doubt. I mean, Karrion Kross is somebody who's kind of waiting in the wings, talking about Drew. He had a backstage promo today, or not backstage, it was kind of on the stage, but the lights were out, their music hit. Scarlett was standing right there next to him, and he just basically said, at any moment, I could completely ruin your plans. Just like I can put my hand or my arm through the back of your head and just ruin all the achievements you had and make them all for naught because I'll put you on the shelf. So Karrion Kross is somebody who's kind of waiting there. You don't really know what to expect with him. He's kind of like a wild card. We'll see if he ends up coming into play before or after Clash at the Castle, but it's inevitably going to happen. Some of the things that were announced next week for the Go Home show, we do get Roman Reigns celebrating his 2-year anniversary as the world champion. Not as the unified world champion, but since he won that Universal Championship and he's just been on top. 2 years, gone by pretty damn quick, but man, what a hell of a run by Roman Reigns that we are in the middle of. It seems like Karrion Kross is going to make his in-ring return next week. Maximum Male Models will make their in-ring debut as a collective against Hit Row. Ludwig Kaiser versus Butch. And then New Day versus Viking Raiders in a Viking rules match. So pretty loaded go-home show for SmackDown. We kind of already fantasy booked a little bit, how that Maximum Male Models and Hit Row match is going to go. We'll see if we end up being right or wrong. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully there's no games that take over Fox or something like that. I will be so pissed off. I'm definitely going to have to be on top of it and see what happens. But either way, we will be able to provide a thorough SmackDown review next week regardless, and definitely get it to you pretty early because obviously Clash at the Castle is going to be that Saturday. I don't know what time in the afternoon it's going to be. I think it's early, right?
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know either. We'll, I guess we'll see what happens. I do need to look at the time exactly, but either way, we're going to have to get that SmackDown review out pretty quick after SmackDown goes off the air, and that's something that we can definitely do. But John, any shout-outs, any plugs, anything like that before we sign off here?
Well, definitely want to give you a shout-out, man. Thank you for having me another week and everything like that. And, of course, check out the Football Function if you need your football content. But, yeah, definitely want to give a shout-out to the listeners as well, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all have a good weekend and everything like that. And, yeah, definitely want to close it out like that.
Oh, yeah. Damn good episode, I feel like. Obviously, I hate not being able to watch SmackDown live. It throws off my routine. I know that this is a routine industry, just this WWE podcast that we're on here. Everybody has a job to do, and it's our job to close out the week and review SmackDown, and I don't like getting it out late. That's just something that I'm not really a fan of, but it is what it is. Sometimes you can't really control it. That was just something that I had no idea was going to happen until it was already too late, and then here we are on Saturday morning doing this thing. But it is what it is. Still a good review. Got you a chance to watch it twice pretty much. Get a little bit more familiar with it. Just a little bit fresher on your mind. That always feels good going into a podcast. So you got to love that. But I do want to thank the listeners, obviously, for tuning into this and getting a chance to hear us break down SmackDown. We definitely appreciate that. Hopefully you will come back next week for the Go Home show and let us break down SmackDown for you again because it's something we definitely like. Also, go check out all the other shows here on the WWE podcast. You will definitely enjoy that. It's your one-stop shop for everything pro wrestling. And if you are interested in doing the AEW review show, definitely get in touch with Matt. He is looking for somebody to take over that. Our relay team is currently missing a leg right now. That's just kind of what it is. We're the last leg, closing out the week. The second leg, I think it is. Maybe third. I guess NXT is technically second leg. So yeah, third leg. The one that hands off the baton to us. Are you freaking kidding me? Somebody needs to step up and freaking fill this spot for us. Otherwise, we're not going to be an eligible relay team, and we will not be able to compete in any events going forward. So, yeah, do you want to have the WWE podcast ineligible for competing for all these track events? No, you don't. So we need somebody to fill this role here for Matt, get in there and start covering AEW. But, yeah, I guess we can kind of end on that note. Hope you guys all have a damn good rest of your weekend. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams, and I will talk to you soon. Go Falcons.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.